Hi everyone, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Laura. Laura says, yesterday I just suddenly felt very down. I actually thought I might need to leave school. I'm a teacher because I felt like I might burst into tears in any minute. I mean, first of all, where does that come from? And secondly, is there something I could do? I'm really struggling with my binge eating right now. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it or if that even matters. So Laura, I love this question. I was happy to see it and excited to get to kind of speak to it because I think it's really kind of essential in a way. Like it lets us speak to something that's beyond, deeper than kind of the typical problem, like how do I not cry at school? You know, why did I feel so bad? Or how do I stop my binge eating? You're really asking about this just flow of emotion that moved through you. And your first question, where does that even come from? It's a great question, you know, and then your second question of, is there something I could do, is also a great question. And both of these, I think, are just so common. And again, lets us kind of look at this in a unique way. So where does it come from? I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I mean, I do and I don't. So where it comes from, where all feeling, all emotion comes from, is within us. And I don't mean within us as if there's this, sometimes if I say within us, it sounds to me anyway, like there's this pool of pain sitting inside of us, or there's this pool of suffering that we just sort of like, something kind of creates a ripple on that pool and we can feel like we're just completely, you know, bowled under by it. And it's not like that. It's not like it's sitting inside of us, I don't think anyway. What I think is helpful in seeing where this comes from is that when we say it comes from inside of us, comes from within us, that's more of a contrast to the fact that it doesn't come from outside of us. So it's not like life did something. Life does stuff all the time, right? And we feel it however we feel it. So I'm not saying life's not doing things. Life's doing whatever life's doing. But life doesn't give us this huge explosion of emotion or even just a little explosion of emotion. Life's just life. What we feel is the way that this energy that is life, this energy that moves through us all the time, moves through us. So I think of like, you know, light pouring through a window, for example, and it casts shadows. I can look around my room right now and see different shadows on the wall. There's a window right in front of me. Light pours in, it casts different shadows. Those shadows move. When light moves, the shadows move. That's kind of how our feelings are, how our emotions are. Light, in our case, it's I don't know, I call it energy, but it's whatever this is, whatever this formless, life-giving energy experience is, it moves through us. And as it kind of hits us, kind of like this light pouring through my window, as it comes through us, it bounces off in different directions. Sometimes we have a thought or an old memory, or we're not aware of any of that, and we just feel something very deeply, just like you're describing. A lot of times we don't feel it so deeply, but we're still feeling stuff. You're just going through your day, bopping along, no big deal. You're still thinking, you're still feeling your thinking, you're still having memories and thoughts and opinions and all of that, but maybe they're just kind of up here, whereas other days they're way down here. Other days they're way up here. It's all the same. Now, to our human psychology, they sure don't look all the same, and we've been taught implicitly that they aren't all the same. You know, we're very good at labeling them and judging them, and I like these and I don't like these, and here's my comfort zone and this is outside of my comfort zone. And so we get into all kinds of judgment and thinking and resistance and fear and liking and not liking and all of that, wishing for. We get into all that around our feelings, but that has nothing to do with our feelings. That's just our opinions about our feelings. I mean, feeling, experience, thought and emotion and all of this, it's just the way that life moves through us. It's just how things show up. And I love that answer personally. Maybe I don't when I'm feeling really low. I don't know. I still think I kind of do, actually. Like there's a freedom in it. It's not about what my mind thinks it's about. It's not meaningful necessarily. It's not telling me something about me or my life. It's just light flooding through that window. And when light floods through the window, all kinds of stuff happens. If we can begin to see our emotions and our experience like that, light flooding through us, energy flooding through us, and all kinds of things bounce off, and we get to experience them before they fluctuate and change, it's a whole different story there. You know, it's different. It's not something we need to figure out. Now, that said, sometimes, like you experienced, we just feel horrible all of a sudden, or sometimes we feel wonderful all of a sudden. And of course, we think about that, and we want to know, you know, where does that even come from, and what can I do about this, and all of that. And I just want to say about that if there's something that we want to see in that, something we want, you know, if we really are like, I wonder why this just turned so dramatically, or I wonder what that's about. It's a beautiful thing to ask those questions if it occurs to you to ask, but you don't need to know the answer. Like, it's still light it's still light pouring through the window. It's still energy fluctuating through us. The answer is the same at that essential level, you know, like the truth of it is the truth of it. And sometimes with the same mind that has opinions and likes this and doesn't like that, we'll want to think about it a little bit. And sometimes there is something really valuable in that. Sometimes it'll occur to you, oh, I'm carrying all this stress around because it's almost the end of the school year, or because I have this later this week that I'm thinking about, or when, you know, sometimes something in that will occur to you and be helpful, and that's beautiful. And if it doesn't, that's okay too, because it's all, you know, in motion. It's all kind of moving through. So your question about, is there something I could do? Now, I'm kind of making this up from what you wrote here, but you said, I thought I might need to leave school because I thought like I might burst into tears at any moment. So I'm guessing what you mean when you say, is there something I could do? What you're really asking is there something I can do to stop this emotion so I don't feel what's there? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes there is. You did something, Laura. I mean, you either left school and you went and cried, or somehow it dissipated and went away, or somehow you set it aside and was able to go on with your day. So I don't know. Sometimes we'll see things we can do. A lot of times we won't. But what I really would like for you to see in this is, for everyone to see in this, is around this thing. Again, these two questions you ask, where does it come from and is there something I can do? They really kind of go into each other. They kind of play off each other a lot, because when we see it as energy moving through us and we're just feeling the shadows of that life energy, we're just feeling feelings are just the shadows of thought. When we see it as, oh, it's just like light pouring through my window here, and I have shadows on the wall around me. Happens within us too. Energy pours through. We get shadows. We call them feelings. They're all the same. As we see that more and more, who cares what you do? You cry in front of your class. I don't know. You run out of the room crying. You stay in the room crying. You don't. You know, you push it away and you cry when you get home. You push it away and it dissipates. Anything is okay. Any of it, any of that is okay. And that's true, again, whether, shouldn't say it like that, but like that's, I'll just say it the way I said it. That's true whether you see that or not. So you may not think it's okay. Now, we've all cried in front of people that we wish we hadn't cried in front of. It's just life. Like, we're not in charge of all this emotion stuff. It just happens sometimes. What happens after that is we can either keep it alive, and it can be one of your top 10 most embarrassing moments that you revisit from time to time, and you can, you know, cut those people out of your life because you're so mortified. Or you can say, hey, you know what, I'm a human being. This is just what showed up. Big deal. And everything in between those two poles. So again, it's not about trying to see your emotion in a certain way. It's about seeing what emotion is. Because as we see what it is, you will see it in a different way. You will. We're not in charge of it. It does what it does, and your experience of that will start to change when you don't have all the thinking and judgment and trying to push it down and all of that kind of stuff around it in quite the same way. You mentioned that you're struggling with your habit, and you don't know if that maybe has anything to do with all this emotion coming up, you know. And I just want to say to that. Maybe, and if it does, it's probably less in the direction of, I mean, I don't know, this isn't necessarily true, but it might be in the direction of, oh, my habit's been bad and I've had a lot on my mind, and so all this emotion came up while I was at work. That happens. But it's also maybe the other side of that I think it's easy to overlook that. We kind of miss that part, is that maybe you're just emotional. Maybe you just have stuff coming up, and maybe you're asking questions like, what do I do? How do I not feel this? And maybe that's what's leading you into your habit more often lately, because that's the way I see it work a lot, is we feel stuff. It's just stuff. It's just life. We're totally okay. It means absolutely nothing bad about us, but we think it does, and we push it, and we hide it, and we get mad about it, and we want to not feel it. And then we go home and binge eat, or we go home and do whatever it is we do. So just kind of consider it in that direction as well, that, you know, maybe there's just a level of emotion that is asking to just be felt and seen for what it is. And, you know, and as we kind of loosen and let anything that wants to show up, we just don't have the need or desire or any of that to engage in these habits, because what all of our habits are is just trying to push feeling away. Every single habit is just a way to not feel something. And if you're okay with anything you feel, then there's no point in habits. And those habits see that pretty quickly. Oh, I'm not needed here anymore. She's on to just feeling what she feels. What am I here for? And yeah, and that's a really cool way that things start to turn around. So thank you so much, Laura, for this question, because I think it's a really, you know, really vulnerable question, a really good one, and it's one that was, the way that you asked it was super helpful, because I felt like it allowed us to kind of look at this in a way that's maybe a little bit different than how we typically talk about it. So I hope it's helpful to everyone. Thank you guys so much for listening and for being here live, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.